Hello, and welcome to the January 23rd, 2013 webinar for document management for your ERP system. I'm Josh Bailey from E2B Technologies, and I'm joined here by Kirk Topliff. He's the sales director at Alltech. Alltech is a leader in integrated document management solutions, and today, Kirk will be talking about integrating document management with your current ERP system. So with that, Kirk, take it away.
Very good, Josh. Thanks very much, and thank you to E2B Technologies for the opportunity to present our solution to their Epicor and Sage user base. Today, in the next 30 minutes, we will be talking about how to improve your current paper processes by streamlining those processes both inside and outside of your Sage or Epicor environments by getting rid of the paper. We do that through different methodologies, and we'll get into those throughout the course of our time today, looking to really ultimately save you time and money by becoming more efficient and reducing waste. And we also want to talk to you about some key questions to ask as you are going through the process of looking at solutions so that you're making the wisest choices that you can. So before we get started, I just want to bring up the point that we find many of our current prospects are currently scanning paper, and then others are still back in the paper file cabinet world. So if you are in between or somewhere amongst those types of clients, we definitely have a solution for you. How you manage your paper today. Again, if you are focused on paper management and you're jamming, as this picture indicates, you're jamming papers and folders into metal filing cabinets, don't be ashamed of that. Lots of clients are still in the paper-based environment. But Josh and I also see a lot of existing clients starting to use scanning technology, and they're scanning to a network file share, creating folders and being able to scan to PDF and dropping documents in folders. And then we also see clients that are outsourcing their scanning work to companies that'll scan the paper for them, and then they return the image content back on a compact disk. And so certainly scanning is a step in the right direction, but both the file share approach and the burn information to CDs also has their limitations. First of all, scanning to a network file share, everybody has different ways of organizing, and what we have found is the clients that have started that approach are frustrated because they can't find things as easily as they thought they would have been able to find them. And then the other issue with burning data to disk is there is a significant time delay between the time the paper goes away to the time the disk is returned and the users are familiar with accessing it. So again, lots of different ways to get stuff in. Our approach with the DocLink application is to capture documents as soon as they come in, store them in a fashion that's easily accessible across all users based on very simple and logical search criteria. And we'll get into that in the course of our presentation today. So what is document management? When you look at it, first and foremost, it's an imaging system. It's a way of getting rid of paper, converting it into a picture or a digital document, and then allowing users to access that information directly from their desktop. So no longer up, down, out of the chair, going back into the back room to pull paper from metal filing cabinets or find them through a file search. We also support multiple levels of security so that the right people are seeing the right documents. And so that's all created by our customers, the ability to lock down information based on the people in the company and the roles that they fulfill. In addition to a pure document imaging system, we also support workflow. And workflow really opens up a tremendous opportunity for greater productivity gains. Once documents are in a digital format, the paper component of a process is eliminated, and many times that's the biggest bottleneck, is the paper itself. So if we can start moving these image files through a workflow tool, it provides you, the customer, with so much more information on the location of those documents. For example, if a vendor were to call up the finance department and bark at you about, hey, they haven't been paid yet, through workflow, you can immediately track the location of that invoice based on an invoice number or a purchase order number or the vendor name, and you can quickly identify which approver that document is sitting with. And so being able to quickly and intelligently answer questions from vendors and customers is extremely powerful. In addition to workflow, we also have some technology that eliminates the manual and paper-intensive delivery of documents to customers and vendors. So today, if you're currently printing your AR invoices to paper, stuffing them in envelopes and mailing them out to your customers, we have a better way. If you're currently delivering purchase orders to vendors and you're doing it maybe as an email attachment, that's certainly an improvement over the paper process and the mail process, but it's also very manual. Lots of pointing and clicking and saving. So we have ways of automating the delivery of purchase orders, for example, out to vendors. And we store documents in a single location. There's no need to make multiple copies of anything. Once the document is stored in the system, one image is all it takes, and then we just give permissions to the right people to view that particular type of document. And lastly, advanced business process tools, things that allow you to track not only invoices and purchase orders, but also documents based on unique industry information that you may be involved with, things like lot numbers or serial numbers, or if your company is involved with project numbers or job numbers. Again, these are all very unique to your specific company and the industry that you're in. Linking information from your industry to documents is definitely a part of the flexibility of our solution. So if you look at the DocLink solution, at the core, we've got the document management foundation, then the accounting system that you are working with, whether it's Sage or Epicor. And then around the core document management system, we have different components, and we'll kind of just quickly touch on these four components. The first one is the capture component. Most people think of the scanning of paper when they think of capture, but in addition to paper capture, we also support fax receipt, so getting your vendors to fax their invoices directly to your fax numbers, or getting your customers to fax their purchase orders directly to a fax number. We also support email. So again, lots of clients, Josh and I have seen, are attaching PDF files to their email messages. We can simply drag those attachments directly into the imaging system and then start to process those images through our product. Some advanced features of barcode of capture also include barcode. Again, much like the grocery store, you know, when you're scanning your items, they don't have to manually key in anything. The barcode provides the grocer with a wealth of data about that item. Same thing applies with document management. The barcode represents values like the document type and the index values associated with that particular document. The bottom line of both barcode and optical character recognition software is to minimize human intervention, which ultimately drives error rates down and improves the productivity of people that have been assigned to capture documents. Workflow can be used all over the organization. What Josh and I have found is that most clients will begin automating an accounts payable environment because of the Sage and Epicor software that they use. But quickly, we find that other departments see the value in the technology and then become envious of it, and then they want it. And so we found human resources is a great application for workflow. What does that mean? It means you go through a paper-intensive and person-intensive new hire onboarding process. Well, instead of walking those paper documents or paper folders from person to person in the company, let's create a human resource workflow application where those documents are moved through the organization electronically. So resumes, cover letters, any type of credentials, any type of certifications that want to be reviewed before that individual is brought in for interviews. All those documents can be moved through a workflow process, eliminating bottlenecks. Again, we mentioned output, sending purchase orders to vendors, AR invoices to customers. Certainly those are probably the most prevalent output stories that we have, but there's all sorts of other stories waiting to be shared by our clients. Whenever documents are being pushed out of the business to others, that's a great application for our output technology. You'll notice here that there's multiple methods that we support, and there's also multiple formats, so very flexible. And then the bottom coordinate, Josh, really again comes back to being able to create a centralized repository where we can access and share information directly from the desktop, search for things in a very logical fashion, and make business decisions based on documents. So DocLink is, its greatest strength is to make sense out of paper-intensive, repetitive tasks. And again, probably no better example than accounts payable. Again, your people in the finance department and specifically in accounts payable are pretty much doing the same thing Monday through Friday, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year. They are processing payables. They are getting the necessary documentation in order to pay bills with confidence and pay bills the standards that have been established by the company. And so what we do here is we don't proclaim to change the process. We simply want to communicate to you, the future customer, let's get the paper components out of the way, because it's the paper components that slow you down. So if we don't have to make 5 copies of a purchase order and then pass them out like a deck of cards, that's a good thing. If we don't have to make multiple copies of an invoice and pass those around for approval, again, that's a good thing. So again, not here to change your processes. We're here just to streamline the existing process by taking the paper component out of the equation. On the right side of the screen, again, you see an AP processor moving documents to an invoice approver through electronic workflow. So, key drivers behind document management, and basically the question here is, why do companies purchase this technology from Josh and E2B Technologies? They're looking to become more efficient within the organization, and they recognize that they've been doing it the same way for years, and it's served them well, but there's a better way. Technology is available now that allows them to become more efficient. Lots of clients move to us because of various reasons. Either it's been they've gone through a negative audit experience and they kind of had egg on their faces because they were unable to quickly access documents that auditors were requesting. And in some cases, we've seen industries that are regulated and get funds from the government are, financially penalized because of negative audits. So we see lots of clients come to us because of that type of an experience. We see lots of clients come to us because they are growing, either naturally, organically, or through acquisition, and they're faced with the decision of, we know our transaction volumes are going to increase. Either we get in front of that by giving our valued employees better tools, or we have to add more people to the staff. And so that's another reason. And then probably most tragically is, the companies that have lost their documents based on floods or fires or tornadoes. And, we have had a few of those cases where they finally throw up their hands and say, you know what, we got caught and we're not going to let it happen again. We have to be responsible executives of our corporate information, and unfortunately, many of our corporate information is stored in paper, and it's just not the way to go anymore. And so because of, disaster issues, they finally come to the table and say, hey, we got to change. Now, at more of the micro level, we see customers say, you know what, we are spending a fortune on Federal Express or couriers, getting paper from our outlying or remote locations into the corporate office. I've recently worked with an account that had 50 remote locations, and on a weekly basis, they would ship 50 FedEx boxes to the corporate location. And they were spending literally $100,000 a year on FedEx shipments. And it just got to the point where they said, you know what, we know there's a better way. We've just kind of got stuck in this culture that we've been in for years, but we got to change. And so they've finally come around, and the investment in DocLink clearly paid for itself well under a year, and now they've gained all the other benefits of, no filing, increased efficiency and visibility, and oh, by the way, we're no longer spending $15,000 a month on FedEx. So hopefully some of these micro level bullets are ringing true to your audience. Josh, again, these are very typical things that we see over and over when clients come to us. Here's an example, again, as I just mentioned, of that food service company with 50 locations, well over $100,000 moving paper. We have other clients in high rent districts of our country that said, you know what, we have better, there's got to be better usage of this expensive real estate instead of filing cabinets. Let's stop moving every 5 years because we run out of space. Let's get rid of these metal filing cabinets. We have other clients that don't physically have the space to store the paper, and so they have services like this one that come to their office, take all of the paper that's in bankers' boxes, and then they archive them in a paper warehouse somewhere else. And again, if you look closely at this picture, you can see those white labels on the bankers' boxes. Those are barcodes. And so whenever you call that vendor and say, hey, we need you to pull our paper, they'll find the box based on the barcode, and then they're going to charge you a fortune to pull the paper and then return it to your office. So again, this may be a fixed and hard dollar expense that your company is incurring. It just doesn't have to be that way. Again, what we found in the audit experience is most auditors charge by the hour, and if the auditor is waiting around for you to produce paper documentation that they are requesting, you're paying for that. And so what we have seen repeatedly from our clients is feedback that, you know what, number one, the audit experience is a completely different experience now. It's not nearly as painful. We're no longer kind of waiting for the auditor to tell us to, pull paper, and then we're, reacting to their request. With DocLink, the auditor comes in, we spend 15 minutes training them on how to search for invoices and checks, and then we basically cut them loose and say, hey, if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, you're free to find these 2 document types and nothing else, again, based on permissions, and allow them to do their own research. I also mentioned, again, growth without adding headcount. Again, adding a person typically is about a $50,000 proposition. We don't have to add that person because we're making our current staff more efficient. Again, that's a big win. And then obviously, finally, being a good corporate steward, being environmentally aware and conscious. Again, paper consumption is heavy, and if you can reduce the amount of photocopies that you're making, and the amount of toner you're purchasing, and the amount of shredding, and all that other stuff that you're doing, certainly that's good for the environment. We talked about disasters that seem to be happening all the time these days. Again, paper is not a safe way of storing critical corporate documents, and especially documents in finance. Again, what I call money documents. The cost it takes to reproduce an invoice, if you lose something, going back to the vendor and asking them to reproduce it, it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of delay. So based on these factors, we again typically see the return on your investment in document management well within a year, sometimes much faster. So really the promises of the product and the technology is streamlining your existing paper processes without the paper, reducing costs relating to moving, storaging, and accessing paper documents, providing immediate visibility to documents and supporting detail so that you can answer quickly and intelligently when pressed by auditors, customers, and vendors, and allowing you to leverage the data that's being keyed into your Sage or Epicor accounting system to link data to the document. We'll get into that here in just a second, how eliminating duplicate entry is really the value proposition of our integration components. We typically start in the accounting space, but again, HR we mentioned, legal, sales, marketing, corporate documents, these are all very relevant to your business and can simply be captured there. One of the reasons why I enjoy selling this product and have been doing so for years is because it's not unique to a specific industry vertical. Every company has paper. So whether you're in hospitality or manufacturing and distribution, paper is paper wherever it is, and we help get rid of it. Part of E2B Technologies and Alltech's responsibility to you, our prospect, when we're taking you through the sales process, is to be good listeners. And we get a tremendous amount of information from you as it relates to the size of your company and staff, how much you're paying these people that are managing paper, how much money you're spending on things such as express mail, we talked about, postage, photocopying, toner, filing supplies, those kinds of things. And we work that information into a return on investment. And that ultimately helps you sell the project internally to your executive staff. Again, quickly, human resources is becoming a very appropriate secondary phase of an implementation of the DocLink solution. Customer service, so again, sales order and any kind of service work, field service work, where you're able to get information and communicate it out to your customers to improve those business relationships is really invaluable. And then not only the payments that you're making to your vendors, But what about internal expenses? You know, in the things of expense reports or reimbursements to employees. Again, another form of payables, but those are internal payables. Again, no reason we can't include those in the solution. And again, what makes our product different? It's affordable. It scales. You can start at a department level and grow over time. And then the proven integration we have with both the Sage family of products and the Epicor family of products. We are endorsed by both of these publishers. Endorsed means we've gone through the due diligence. We've built customer bases of hundreds within both of these areas and have really been the de facto standard for these customers that run Sage and Epicor that want to go paperless. It's affordable in that the cost of the product is known up front. We do most of our work on a fixed fee, not to exceed basis. So knowing the investment level up front is of certainly a value, and people appreciate it. The ability to start at a department level and grow. We've got some clients that scan just a few hundred documents per month. We've got other clients that are scanning millions of documents in a year. So again, fit lots of different company profiles. We also build some very configurable solutions. So again, we try our best to make our solution easy to purchase and easy to understand. So if you want to start with just a pure document management, you know, scanning, indexing, archiving solution, we can start you there. If you want to start as a department, maybe just in accounts payable and finance, we have a solution for that approach. And then finally, if you want to look at a lot of different departments, we have the enterprise solution. So we're really providing you a migration path at your pace. And again, the integration to your accounting system, whether it's Sage or Epicor, is monument and important. Being able to leverage the work that you're already doing into those systems, the keystrokes you're doing into those systems, we leverage that to apply that information, that same information to the documents. We also do screen modification to Sage and Epicor products so that the people that are most intimate and familiar with those solutions don't have to learn a new product. They're just getting further value out of the product that they're already familiar with through the usage of view document buttons throughout those screens. So in closing, we see document management as really a toolkit. It's a kit that allows you to look at the inefficiencies of a paper-based department and step by step allowing you to gracefully get to a more efficient environment based on using the document management tools that are available in DocLink. If you're intrigued by what we've shared with you today and you would like more information, feel free to reach us at this information or your E2B Technologies contact, and we'd be delighted to take next steps with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirk. That was right on. There's definitely more and more businesses that are needing to consolidate resources into one system and manage their documents electronically. And yeah, the increase in efficiency, savings, and visibility is unequivocal. And yeah, I just want to thank you for being able to come out and do this webinar with us today. And it was great.
You're very welcome. Thank you.